At this time, we ask everyone to please pause for a moment of silent meditation. Please, thank you. Okay, well, everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have a seat. As you know, yesterday was a festive day for the Irish, and today is even a more festive day because sitting at the dais with me is a gentleman who's celebrating his birthday, the birthday president, Kip McFadrick. So we're going to wish him a happy birthday. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kip. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Kip. Okay, now we begin the process of starting. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Sitting at the dais, we have Kip McFadrick, we have Matt Kinlan, we have Sean Kilkenny, our solicitor, and John Bates, our assistant township manager, all present here today. Right now, we're going to review the minutes from our last meeting of February the 26th. Kip, are we all okay with those minutes?
We're good with them.
Okay, we're good with those, then we're gonna move right along then. Approval of the minutes, okay? Now, we're gonna have our call from our police chief, Chief Block, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Whiting. Good evening. It's a pleasure to present the February 2024 monthly report for the police department. For the month of February, there were 1,197 calls for service. The total calls for service year to date takes us to 2,409 calls. The calls for service between January of 2024 and February of 2024 indicate a flat increase in volume. Our outlying years in February of 2023, there were 2,532 calls for service year to date. February 2022, 2,402, and 2021 of February 2169. The overall difference over the past 3 years, look back, is a 10% increase in volume of our calls. For February 2024, the following Part 1 crimes were reported, investigated by the police department: 1 aggravated assault, 1 burglary, 3 auto thefts, 31 theft offenses with 29 cleared by an arrest. And just for the board's information, that takes us to 71 theft cases for the year with 50 clearances. The following Part 2 crimes were reported, investigated by the police department. There was 1 narcotics offense, 2 public intoxication offenses, 5 disorderly conduct offenses, and 28 other crimes that have been committed. Patrol Division conducted the following proactive measures: 397 vehicle investigations, 42 hazardous traffic violations, 92 non-hazardous traffic violations, 1 parking citation, and 4 warnings were issued, 11 homeless contacts, 5 DUI investigations, 2 between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and 3 between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Equally as busy was our traffic safety unit. They had 40 calls for service, 8 traffic and parking issues, 2 directed patrols, 137 traffic stops, 113 warnings were issued, 17 hazardous traffic citations were issued, and 24 non-hazardous citations issued. They had 1 motor carrier vehicle inspection. Our Detective Bureau opened 30 new cases in the month of February of 2024. They served 10 arrest warrants as well as 10 search warrants. In addition to that, there were several highlights for the month. The one I do want to just key on and bring the board's attention to is Sergeant Rob attended Northwestern School of Police Staff and Command. It's a 10-week school. He went every 2 weeks and was back for 2 weeks, and he graduated on February 13th. Myself and Lieutenant Kelly attended his graduation. So it's something that we want to push down to our sergeants. It's a management course, and it provides for the future leadership of the police department. So he did very well with that. 2 announcements just to make. One is we're having another Coffee with a Cop. It'll be on April 2nd from 9 to 11 at the Giant on North York Road. And the semi-annual drug take-back will take place on the 27th of April, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Giant as well on North York Road. That concludes the Police Department's monthly report. I'll entertain any questions.
I have none.
Any commissioner comments? No? Any public comments? No? Okay, Chief Block, we appreciate that report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you for all the work you guys do. Chief Glassman, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's my pleasure to present the February monthly Fire Department report. There was 115 fire calls, 12 EMS calls for a total of 127. We completed 5 fire permit inspections. We're a little light this month because we had the transition software program, but we'll catch it up this month. The fees collected were $9,575. The yearly permit fees collected is $9,925. We're almost at half of what we collected last year. Turnpike fees collected $1,575. The yearly total is $2,025. Total fees collected this year, $11,950. We only collected $18,000 last year, so this year we'll pass what we captured last year. The increase year to date is $3,580. That's the 23 number, and the positive gain in funding this year is $8,370. There's 9 fire marshal investigations, 1 firefighter injury, got injured at an incident we had on the train track and got a couple stitches. Another significant incident we had was on the 24th. There was a fatal MVA on Davisville Road. We participated with 4 community events. One of them is fire extinguisher training. I captured a picture. Fire service training was 22 personnel for 202 hours. And we were awarded State Fire Commissioner's grant for $15,396 for turnout gear. And emergency management, we participated in the Eastern Montgomery County Emergency Management Meeting and the County Emergency Management Meeting. The average response time for the month was 3 minutes and 33 seconds. For the year, it's 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Also, the early heads up is we had another CPR save with the police, fire, and EMS working together collectively. 57-year-old gentleman went into sudden cardiac arrest. We're going to recognize those members maybe April 1st. We're trying to work out the logistics behind the scene, but all the first responders were there in under 3 minutes, and they saved the life of a 57-year-old guy who suffered sudden cardiac arrest. So we're excited to honor them as soon as possible. That's the 3rd one recently. So that concludes my report, pending any questions.
Can you give us a little fire prevention tip for this month, please, sir?
Perfect tip is outside burning. We've been to about 4 of them in the past 3 days. The township has an outside ban on open fires. Please refrain from having outside fires, and especially don't let them near your house or anything that is combustible.
Thank you very much. At this time, any commissioner comments for Chief Glassman?
No.
Any public comments for Chief Glassman? Chief, thank you very much. And next we have our EMT report from Ken Davidson. Ken, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm continuing to push our statistics people to be a little faster, but in the meantime, I have year-end numbers for you from 2023. In Upper Moreland Township, we had 3,940 EMS calls for service, 3,606 were medical, 212 were motor vehicle collisions, 105 fire calls, 17 special services. It resulted in 2,323 patients being transported. Again, as always, the lion's share to Abington Jefferson Hospital, 2,163 or 93% of them. You will see that if you look at all the other dispositions as compared to transported, we transported about 59% of the patients, which is a little bit lower than maybe historically. And again, attributed to some of the calls that I've mentioned in previous months that were being called for that were maybe not as traditional of a medical emergency or EMS response, where we're being involved with the community in other ways. So continuing to watch all that, but nothing that's particularly alarming. We did have 3 naloxone administrations by EMS in Upper Moreland Township in the month of February. Again, my usual disclaimer, that doesn't mean it was given, wasn't given additional times, possibly by other responders, but that's just the number of times that our EMS providers gave naloxone in the month of February. Staffing continues to be a challenge, although it's looking a little bit better. Number of hours this year that we had to downgrade to BOS versus last year was 58 hours this year, 90 hours last year. But unfortunately, the number of times we had to downgrade to no status at all was 71.5 hours this year compared to 48 hours last year. Please keep in mind, though, this was a leap year, so we had some extra hours in there to fill, so it's not a direct comparison. I did have some follow-up with Manager Canlin in regard to questions from the commissioners last month about EMS funding. Provide you some numbers in your report there. It does show the deficit for services in 2022. I did show you the numbers from 2023, but please remember it's medical billing, so it does age a little bit, and that number will eventually come down a little bit once we've collected everything more. Since the chief mentioned it, I'll thank the fire department for their assistance on that incident on the train tracks. It was a relatively complex incident and difficult area to get to, and I think, again, it speaks to the cooperation we have and the joint work that we have between all three disciplines of public safety in the township, that we were able to get there and handle the situation as best possible and with minimal injury to anybody else. So that's my report. I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Any commissioner comments? Any public comments for Ken? Ken, thank you very much and continue to do the work you're doing, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, the committee has no old business or new business to report, so we stand adjourned. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Good.